Good evening. This is the Facility Use Committee meeting for the Lambertville Unified School District Board of Education. It is September 10th. Called this meeting to order at 6:31. My name is Matt Balzerini. I'm the chair of this committee. Shane Nielsen, board member.
Here.
Alvina Kaiser, CBO, staff.
Here.
James Nolan, DMOT staff.
Here.
And Corey Strock, committee member, is here, and he's got to run outside. And Erica Smith-Payne is absent tonight. Facility use update. Item A is the facility use minutes from 8/24, which are attached. This has been submitted to the full board, which they already reviewed. And item B, denied applications.
We had none.
None.
Yet.
None yet.
Give us time.
Yeah. Item C, unapproved use notifications.
None.
Okay. Item D, change of chair status notifications.
There's no note. I don't think we had any.
None. Item E, high school turf track, any new information?
Turf track update. None.
Nothing new,
I had a
nothing
note
pressing.
here.
The
Well,
purpose of tonight's meeting was pretty specific to talk about the approval of the applications that came in for the use for this next year. So we can fly through this stuff and we'll bring this regular business back up at our next meeting. Additional law enforcement patrols, I'm guessing there's no new information.
Correct.
Item G, civic permit software update. Anything new besides the fact that we're unable to use it for this application process?
Exactly. So we've put any that have been able to kind of get in on hold until we go through all the applications as we stated we would.
Okay. And then item H is reimbursement organizations.
And at this time.
Okay. Staff hour report.
I'm
Do we
not
have
sure
one?
we actually had some numbers. Lori's spent a considerable amount of time lately. I didn't want to kill the trees, but she's spending approximately 3 hours per day since we last met on August 24th.
Yeah, we need to automate this process. Okay. Information discussion items. Item A is a facility use handbook.
I was going to note, I'm going to pass out, obviously, this process and the dates, and I know, Lori, you can kind of fill me in because the questions have come up to her regarding the second page, top of the page below the blue ink, where we say indoor facility rental selections for the entire year will be September 1st through the 10th. She had someone question if that was the only time that they're able to submit applications, and she stated for the beginning of the year, yes, but there's always that 30-day advance notice rule, but it doesn't really read that way.
Right. Now, that what we had discussed before is that this is just for the initial, and then once this process is over, it goes back to first come, first serve via the software,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Are we in agreement?
I
That
just wanted to,
I just spelled that out.
Yeah, this is terribly not clear. I think the
Exactly.
person reading was probably right in
that's
the way
why
it
we wanted
reads.
to bring it back, so to do that.
Just to add something, that it's for the priority list, and then after that, it's on a first come, first serve. If you just add something like that there, she did carry it.
And maybe we should articulate this process that following the application period, a committee meeting will be held in which we will discuss conflicts to see if they can be resolved. Again, that was a discussion that we had before, was we would have this meeting to, in concern that organizations had as far as one organization monopolizing everything. And we said we would come together and say, okay, we realize that your organization got awarded everything. Can we find some middle ground here and open some of it up for other organizations if they want it? And that was what we were hoping to accomplish with this meeting tonight, which I'm sure we'll talk about more here shortly, but maybe we should articulate that in this process. If we're going to continue doing this process, I think maybe we need to work through this first and see if this works tonight.
Yes.
This is the first time we're doing it, and if it doesn't work, maybe it's back to the drawing board with some other policy issues. So why don't we hold off on the language until, let's just come back to this item after, and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Sounds good. And then I also included the Amendment 1. It's also on the website that was approved. So I just made that available in your packet, and that will continue to stay there until it's placed into the handbook when we bring it back in June, I believe is what we were saying.
Okay, action items. Item A, Tier 1 Facility Use Organization application submitted for indoor use.
There is a spreadsheet that was created of the applications that were received up through early this afternoon, and then here are 2 additional ones that came in after. That's a set.
That's a set.
Yes, it's a set.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, these are 2 additional applications that came in.
okay.
So the spreadsheet you have in front of you, A through N, are all the applications that have been submitted to date. We have several of them here for the high school, so we requested Lavinia Woods to be here tonight.
Thank you, Lavinia.
Yes, thank you.
I thought we pretty much resolved that.
That's exactly. So, I mean, ultimately, there's likely no space available at the high school with our
My
growth.
recollection was between basketball, volleyball, and the other indoor sports, that the indoor facilities were basically 90% swallowed up during those seasons for our students.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 organizations that have requested. Now, the ones that are in the classroom are probably fine. It's the ones that we're talking about, the gyms.
And that's, multipurpose rooms, not a problem, right? That's
Sure.
the-
I'm sorry, are we,
That's a single-day event anyway.
Right, it's a one-day event.
I think I'm lost. Are we on, we're talking about tier 1 facility use applications, right?
That's, yeah, are there,
But not,
We do
but
not
none
have
of those
any
say
tier
tier
ones at
2,
this
1, tier 1.
So we can skip over that
Oh,
one.
that's true.
Okay.
so
Yes.
tier 1, we can
Thank you,
just.
Corey.
I approve of tier 1 then. Okay, so we're on tier 2A now.
Tier 2A, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
I wasn't even paying attention to that part.
So 2A. Are there conflicts, I guess, is the question that I have.
Lori?
Do we have conflicts
There are
with the 2As?
conflicts.
Yes, I have conflicts with the basketball schedules for 3 of the organizations. They're requesting multi-use for multi-nights. Some are just 2 nights a week, some are 5 nights a week, but it still conflicts with the time. All the schools have booked out their sites until 6, some till 8 p.m. during the week, so it limits the available of space.
Okay. So of these, which is recommended for approval, which is recommended for denying?
Well, right now, the only ones that I have on the 2As are the Cub Pack, which on the front of the packets, I listed the date of nonprofit establishment. They're requesting 1 day on a Saturday at the high school, for the small gym in
What
April.
time is that?
On
Oh,
the
C.
spreadsheet?
On the spreadsheet. It's for the Pinewood Derby from 9 to 1, and it's actually on 4/16, which is a Saturday.
This is 420.
I
16?
I called her and verified. It's 4/16 of 16.
16,
Okay.
It's a Saturday.
16.
Right, but just to confirm though, that's not gonna be during like a volleyball playoffs or.
April
Yeah,
16.
everything should be over by then, right? Indoor wise?
Well, we're offering boys volleyball, which is in the spring, but I don't think there's a problem with that date.
Yeah, there wasn't anything scheduled right now.
You never know with playoffs and leagues like this, they could
Yeah.
push into Saturdays. Hey, I have confidence in our team, despite the football.
So as far as, C on the list, this is a slam dunk, we can approve that one, no
Yeah,
problem?
this
All
one I wouldn't,
right. Okay,
foreseeing that there's nothing with the high school.
okay.
Are we going out of order? Are we gonna look at A first?
I wanted to get the ones that we can easily approve first.
Single events are
A is a
usually
single
easier.
event on a Saturday.
Single event, the next one would be the Royal Affair for the Mountain House Flag Football. It'll be on a Saturday, May 14th, from 1 to 7 in the NPR.
Is there any way to get the day of the week mentioned on here next
That's what I
time?
was just thinking, that we can do that, yes.
Day of week.
Pending that there's nothing going on at the high school, which currently there isn't anything on the calendar.
And again, May 14th.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be anything. That's close to, that's, we graduating at the end of May or first week of June?
They did it the same weekend last year, or in the same time frame last year, too.
Roughly,
Was it
yeah.
at the high school?
Yeah, it was at the high school. Mine was actually probably a little later in the month, though, but.
I can't imagine May 14th is gonna be a problem. For the multipurpose room especially. I mean, it's the kitchen. There's no sports there. If there was something else going on, they'd have to get that started already.
The next one in the Tier 2A status would be for Cuesta Montessori. They're a Montessori school. They like to do their winter concert and their graduation, and last year they got bumped out because of basketball. So it's 2 single events that they're asking for.
So is there a conflict right now? as
There
far-
will be,
Maybe not with
once I
graduation.
start booking basketball. So I'm thinking,
When you say basketball, you mean MHSI's basketball, right?
yeah, correct.
Well, but
It's actually a
June
Cuesta.
2nd, school will be
And
out.
it may,
Yeah, the one we're discussing is
that's
at
at
Cuesta, Lavinia.
Cuesta's.
Yeah.
But MHSI has also requested Saturdays at the high school
Yeah.
for their games. So if they can't get it based on if they get bumped from there, then they would go to Cuesta for their basketball games.
I think we should approve the two for the Montessori school and then give Mountain House High School the other days, or Mountain High Sports
MHSI,
Inc. the other days.
Single events.
they're
compared
single
to-
events, they're different things, and again, too,
They can work it out. We're here to help everyone.
Montessori School is on Cuesta campus, right?
Correct.
I get that MHSI likes being at Cuesta every practice, but they don't have a specific tie to that school. And I would hate to bump the on-campus Montessori school for a practice that could be held at Wickland, at Altamont, at Bethany, just as easily.
Are they
If it's
not a
just
tier one?
practice,
No, it's a game. It's all-day games. It's on a, their,
but it's 1 day's worth of games. What does it matter? They travel to other
sure it
facilities.
matters,
I
but-
don't see why it would trouble them to say that one game you need to have another facility. I'm sure we have one. So that the Cuesta kids can graduate at the campus that they went to all year long.
The Montessori school is on campus at Cuesta. Why isn't it a tier one? Is it because it's a separate nonprofit? Like, is
Correct.
it
Well,
it's
it's-
not
yeah.
quite like a foundation, for example? It's not,
It's not actually affiliated with the school. It's its own, it's an organization.
and they're renting the space from us on Cuesta.
It's a contract that they rent, right?
So I agree with Corey. I would like to see us approve that and just let, the basketball guys know that one day, if you have games all day, they'll have to be at one of the other campuses.
Or just do the morning, be out of there.
Is the basketball reservation already in?
yes, I have them. They're in the
And they're-
packets
and
that
that's
you have.
tier,
They're all tier 2A.
2A.
they're all 2A,
Here we go.
so.
Actually, it should be on this same spreadsheet, right?
Correct.
It's in this giant list of from this to this.
It's not on the spreadsheet, though, because the spreadsheet says Cuesta Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
But B, check out B under locations. It's all locations.
And why does she have it cut out, the specific times on the event times list?
Yes.
That'd be conflicting.
Are they planning to be at the high school every
sounds-
Saturday?
Yes,
8
they're
to
planning
2?
to be at the high school every Saturday from 8 to
And at
2, but if
Altamont
So are we
every
sure they
day.
even want Cuesta on
they
a Saturday?
will, if they get bumped from the high
Oh,
school,
if they get bumped from the high school.
I have to have a place for them to play Saturday games. So
Okay,
it was
then
kind of the,
Lavinia?
No, there's no way. Well, maybe on a Saturday.
The last 2 days, I've entered all the schedules for basketball for all 6 teams. We do have a couple of Saturday games and one team that likes to practice on Saturdays, but there's 2 gyms. So more than likely, most of that can be worked out.
So in this case, we're looking at June 2nd, and then we're also looking at December. They want the gymnasium in December.
It's the December one that's the issue, right?
December is going to be an issue.
17th.
That's,
Do they need the large gym, or do they need the small gym? It just says gymnasium.
For what time
It'll
frame
be
are we
this,
talking
I think it's the
about?
small gym that they're looking for.
What time?
It's like 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
that's the Montessori school,
That's who we're talking about, isn't it? Oh, no, we're talking about MHSI, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's all day.
Oh, Saturday.
Yeah, sorry,
Because
confused
they
there.
run the games back to back.
Right.
Yeah.
And they want the small gym.
Correct.
Well, so, but if you've got it in the calendar, we should be able to pull up and see if there are games that day. And then like
Right.
you say, if there's practices and they just want the small gym and we can practice in the large gym, then it's all copacetic.
That's what I was just gonna ask, Large.
Actually,
And if it's just one team, we'll be more than happy to take the small gym and let them
I mean,
have the
well,
large
but everybody's
gym.
just practicing, but so if they're practicing, that's what this one's for and not a game. For you guys, you could do the small gym for
Right.
the
I think we'll
tournament,
be
right?
okay. June 2nd is, oh, that's next year.
Is anyone here from either organization? No?
Nope.
Okay, well, then that makes it easy.
December 17th is actually a Thursday, so it would be just a matter of a practice that they'd have to move. Last year, they wanted it on a Saturday, so it's on a,
Yeah,
Thursday
December
this year.
17th, the concert's on a Thursday, so they would, that's what I'm saying, they could practice anywhere or do a game anywhere, it's
Yeah.
one shot. And if they're not happy about it, they're not here, we have to try to make accommodations, and I would hate to bump the kids from graduating, winter concert for this.
So a Thursday at the high school is not taken up from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.?
yeah, it will be.
Ours are.
They're going to be booked, the high school's going to be booked, both
both
large
gyms.
and
You're
small
talking about the
gym.
other basketball
She just
organization.
sent me the
giving
basketball
us
schedule
pressure.
yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to put it in.
That's a weeknight one. The other one, the other conversation was about the weekend one.
Oh, there's no conflict between this one and the other one,
No,
right?
because they're requesting Cuesta. We're okay.
Quest on, okay, right, okay.
So it's really just to let
Just
the
about June
basketball
2nd then.
organizations know
Yeah.
you can't have high school facilities during the week.
Okay.
There are very few days where a gym is going to be available, but then the question is, do we want to have them in the sub-gym on a night when we're having a game? Because very few times, if any, are both of our teams at an away game. Usually the way they do the schedule, the boys are home, the girls are away, and vice versa. So there is a gym open, but do we want to have an outside organization come in when we're hosting a home game?
I'm a big believer in, look, during the week, those facilities, we just don't have them. We just can't police it all. And as much as I want to get people access to it, if I were the coach at MHSI, I'd be like, okay, wait, Monday practice is at Altamont, Tuesday is at the high school, Wednesday is at Bethany. That would drive me insane. Let me have one facility where I'm at 99% of the time and I can do it. I would rather see during the school week, the high school facilities, the indoor gyms are just not available unless we know season ends here, from these dates to these dates, we're good. That's my
Let's-
input on that.
So as far as the Montessori school, I think we should
We'll be okay.
approve that, and we're just gonna have to juggle what we can, and
Just for single day events.
if we, if we can do it, just accommodate the youth basketball, we will, and if we can't, we only can do what we can do.
I'm sorry, there's, June 2nd one doesn't have a conflict with MHSI, right? There's no conflict there.
No, it's
Correct.
just the
Because that's
17th.
that's actually after school.
So there's
Ends
actually
for
no,
us.
so there's actually no conflict between Montessori and MHSI at all.
Correct.
June
Not
2nd
now.
would be a specific,
That'll be a
special
different one 'cause
request,
it's summer.
because it's outside of the normal booking period, correct?
Oh, no, I just meant I don't think there was ever a conflict. The
No,
dates don't
December
match.
17th would be because they practice at Cuesta, because we're not going to give them the high school facility to practice at during the week, and they want Cuesta first, right? Mm-hmm. So
They'll
they
want an
won't be able to
elementary school.
Practice at Cuesta on that night, because we're gonna let
So that's still the conflict.
the concert happen. Very confusing. We just have to tell them, hey, look, you got 4 other schools, we'll pick one that's available, the calendar's up, find what's available, and.
Skip
we'll
a day of
just
practice,
let it.
basically. Okay, cool, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thanks,
for
Olivia.
reviewing.
So A, C, E, and F are done, right?
Yep.
Okay, this is not as painful as I thought it was gonna be.
Several pages.
So, what other ones can we do?
So we have 2As, we have the last of the 3 2As. We have the
The Royal Kings, real simple.
MHSI, Royal Kings, and Wolverines. And then I was waiting to hear from Harry on his establishment date of his nonprofit, because I didn't have that on file, because he goes through an AAU organization. He's here tonight, so maybe he can speak to that and provide me that.
Which organization is this?
Royal Kings,
Royal Kings.
So we have an,
We want the high school.
correct.
so on B, sorry, back to B. This should be a fairly straight approval based on whether or not they conflict with the high school calendar or the other calendars, right? So-
Correct, but they're flexible in using the elementary sites. So if they cannot get the high school, they will want the elementary sites.
But not all of them.
On Saturdays, correct?
Oh, no, we're not even talking about Saturdays anymore.
No, we're done with Saturdays.
Just Monday through Friday.
These are
Oh, they only want the
practice
high school on
times.
Saturday, right? So that's why she mentioned Saturdays.
The issue, I just want to make sure I'm getting clear, because it's not from the spreadsheet. They're not looking to get Altamont, Cuesta, Bethany, and Wickland every single night from 6
No,
to 8.
Royal Kings is 2 nights a week.
No, I'm back on B.
We're back on B, I'm sorry.
I don't have a spreadsheet, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay, I'm just, I'm making it confusing for you on purpose. Listed all 4 sites.
Oh, yes, youth basketball, Altamont, Cuesta, Bethany, and Wickland for practice, and then high school for
They
games.
want all 4.
All 4 sites?
They have 32 teams this year. They have it
Okay,
K
well,
through,
we have a bit of a problem, because
Right.
we have teams at every school that's practicing. Will they be done by 6 o'clock?
yeah, most of the calendars are out till 6. I have a couple that are out till 8. So it's gonna conflict with the times that they're wanting, because most people want it from 6 to 8. So I'm gonna have to go do puzzle piecing again this year to try to figure it out.
And this is, the reason you have the puzzle piece is because the schools,
Take precedence.
no, not the schools dates aren't on the calendar yet, so consequently MSI is still able to request those dates during the request period. If we figured out a way to get the school dates on earlier, then MHSI would not even be able to
Well, the
request
school
those days that are
they
already
have-
taken.
Generally, the schools have put in all of their practice times from 3 to 6 p.m. throughout the whole year this year because they knew they would have volleyball or basketball. The thing I didn't have was the music concerts from the music teachers, which I've been working on trying to get that scheduled because they have just collaborated and figured out what it's going to be for every school. I've got the sites, I just don't have the date or the times.
So, well, I mean, the times we know is going to be,
It doesn't matter, yeah.
It'll be
the
6
times
to
are gonna be all
whatever.
night
going to be all
long.
night. So they have the
Yeah.
whole night. So you have those dates?
I do, so I'll
And
just
there's
block them
conflicts,
off.
I'm guessing?
Yes.
Well, there has to be. They want,
There will be.
they want Altamont Cuesta, Bethany, and Wickland every single weeknight between 6 and 8 p.m. between October and February.
I'm saying in the future, if we blocked off all the dates before the September 1st
They're
period, then
blocked
they,
off.
then,
Most of them are blocked off, Corey. If
oh,
you
these
go
are
in-
like manual requests.
These are- I had to do them manually because I couldn't let them go in and put it in because the software will
Process
not
is
allow
manual.
multiple
just-
people to submit
System
on the
didn't get
same
to do
dates.
anything.
Oh, okay. I was
Whole
like,
process
why is the system letting them reserve these
Why?
dates?
It's no, we had to do it from scratch because the system doesn't allow it. The system,
Not yet.
once one person, it's first come, first served.
That's what it is,
And
first come.
to try and accommodate some of the organizations that were complaining about first come, first serve, we had to, came up with this other process.
Right.
But we have to do it manually because the system doesn't support it. So everything right now is,
Okay.
we have to review it all.
I know we're looking at software reviews, saying if we can, if it's one of the things they can do where we have a period where we enter all the school ones, and then you have the period where you open it, and then
That's
the
what we're
requests
supposed
are
to
just
have.
not available at all, right? So
That's
that's,
what's
that's
supposed
the
to
goal. I think that should minimize Lori's time, certainly, I would
Right.
hope.
Right, and we're gonna,
So I thought that was a place, I'm
offline,
sorry.
we're gonna work with the software company to explain the way we're doing it and have them accommodate us, or we will find a different vendor.
So as it stands then on B, we're willing to approve anything that isn't already taken?
Well, there's conflicts. That's the issue that we're having right now, is that there's our school conflicts, so it's,
School conflicts versus the stuff that's, our actual schools want. That's what I'm saying. Well,
there's music program are on during some of these times.
right, but we're willing to approve anything that's not taken by the school is what I'm saying, because they
Yes,
have a higher
correct.
tier 2A status than the other groups.
Because we could put in dates that restricts it to those tiers, but again, that's a first come, first service between those tiers. Because we talked about that too, because we can put in date to say, do not allow them to reserve until this period. And we can put that in our handbook that states,
Before we get to that.
I just mean in
let's
this
deal with
case.
What's in front of us here,
Right,
which
right.
is
I'm
the
with you.
requests that we have.
So how it's going to work, if we go by tier, MHSI has first establishment date of nonprofit status.
Behind MH5 football, I'm assuming,
Then
but
it goes, yes, correct, so.
These are in order of,
Yeah, well, no, and I asked Rita about that, but in order, now with the 2As,
I'm gonna guess
Quest-
the county registrar of voters might actually be.
well, now they do, they are 2A, but the register of voters doesn't matter, they usually use Lammertsville and the district office for their polling places. That won't affect anything. But it would go MHSI with their establishment date of 2011. Royal Kings, I did not have one yet, and I've been asking Harry for that, and Wolverines. I needed a date, and Reno's here tonight.
I'm just gonna be pretty clear about this. Reserving every single school, every single night, from 6 to 8 o'clock for 4 months, 5 months, basically, October, November, December, January.
Oh, that's
Okay,
4.
4 months. First of all, I'd like to know about what we're looking at cost-wise for that. I mean, we were saying 30 days at a time, right? That's the rule, is they can reserve for 4 months, but they only have to pay for 30 days at a time, right?
correct.
I usually will pay these organizations usually pay me in full.
Okay. You've eaten it all up. They've eaten up everything. And again, now we're in a position where, going to Jim's side of things, school gets out at 3, basketball practice starts for our kids, for the in-school kids. Ends at hopefully 6 o'clock for 4 teams. I highly doubt that that's the case, because you got 2 boys teams and 2 girls teams just about at every site. 3 hours worth of practice for 4 teams doesn't seem to jive for me on one multipurpose room, unless they're sharing the gym.
Is there someone here from this organization?
From MHSI, no. I spoke with Michaela Vergara on the phone yesterday to ask her how many teams she had. They have 32 teams, K through 12, and they have a few of the upper grades now where they'll actually need a full-size court to play on, because what they do is they take those teams, they rent the basketball court, and then they split it in half. So they have one team practicing on one half and one on the other, but for the upper levels, they're too big to share the courts. Similar runs into the Royal Kings and with Wolverines on their older teams. It's too small to split half the courts.
And she's not here tonight? Did she?
No.
She told you she's not going to be here?
She couldn't make it tonight. Oh,
Yeah.
Reno?
Are you representing them?
MH Wolverines, I think, right?
Come on up to the microphone. Yeah, well, come on up to the microphone so at least we can hear you.
Oh, basketball, you mean you're last year's president? I mean,
I'm one of the founders of MHYB, and then
Okay.
I was last 2 years president, and I resigned this year, so I can have family time.
Good, good for you.
I know, exactly.
I know how that goes.
So I'm here officially representing the Wolverines, because that's the organization I started before MHYB, but maybe I could just try to address some of the MHSI questions unofficially. I don't know how that would work, but Lori did accurately describe how that league works. It's a rec league, and the way practices have run is they have a half court per team per half hour or hour, depending on the age level. So if it's a kindergarten team or first grade team, they have, their attention span is not as long for 1 hour, so they'll have a 30-minute set to focus on that half court, or 45 minutes.
Just from my perspective, I don't have any questions about how MHSI runs. This is what I'm looking at. School gets out at 3, our practices hopefully end at 6, right? Then their practice starts at 6 and hopefully ends at 8. Not theirs, but MHSI theirs. Hopefully stops at 8. That gives you guys how long to clean the gyms, and will you have that time? There's no time to get in there to do anything from after school until 8 o'clock every single night of the week at every single elementary campus.
Right, and last year we ran into that problem. Every single night of the week at every single campus was booked until 10.
This is just
Right.
the
Thanks for your
logistics of that for you, Jim. I mean, are we pushing into overtime for that kind of stuff?
No, I won't let it go overtime.
Well, no, because 8 o'clock was, as long as they're out by 8, they have enough time to get it cleaned if they did it last, right? To go to the end of their day, which is 10, is that right?
10:30.
There till 10:30.
10:30. So,
Monday through Thursday.
But do we honestly believe, and this is, I would love to have talked to the principals, hear from the principals, the logistics of 3 hours of basketball practice for 4 teams at the school site doesn't make sense to me. Unless they're also sharing the courts, and that's their plan. Now, my recollection from when my daughter played last year, the older girls and boys did not share the court. So I don't see how 4 teams can practice and be done by 3 hours.
Unless
But
they're
they're also not
splitting.
practicing every night. I know that for a fact. They're not, but there's also games on certain days and that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I mean, that's not
That
really
just
our
is,
problem.
this was what it was last year, right? I mean, this is just what it was, right?
Can I address that, Shane?
I'm
Yeah,
not in charge.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, that's fine.
Just my experience as basketball coach at Bethany before, so you're dealing with the school teams, right?
Right,
Is that-
yeah.
We make it work with whatever restriction there is with the time. So if we have to share the gym, and share the gym with the girls' teams, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, I've made that happen. But I see where you're coming from, but we work within that, whatever restriction is within that time period. Ideally, every team wants a full court for their 10 players.
And that's.
But sometimes kids don't show up and they're sick and you end up having 6 players a lot of times at practice for a full court for an hour and a half. So sometimes the multi-purpose room is used more efficiently when you have 2 teams, because then you could scrimmage each other and you have a full 10 players. So that's some of the dynamics you have to, that come
And I
across.
appreciate what you're saying. I would just go back to what Matt says fairly consistently, our facilities for our kids first. We shouldn't be asking our kids to compromise their inter-school activities for outside activities. Right? I mean, how many times have that's been the mantra of this for a long time. And if what we're telling the 7th and 8th grade kids is you only get to practice on a half a court, I'm sorry, that's a serious disadvantage to those kids. Now, granted, we're in the same league against each other, so apparently they're all facing the same disadvantage, but we're also feeders into the high school. We really want to get these kids an opportunity, and I would like to hear from the coaches and the principals about what this logistically means for them if every single night at 6 o'clock they have to be done with practice, and can they do that? That would be my wish before we could approve
I
this.
think that we've given them the opportunity to reserve, if they wanted to reserve longer, they had that opportunity.
And they only took till 6?
They only took till 6.
Just a couple sites did it till 8, but it was only 2 nights a week.
Okay.
So I think that, we honor that, and
I just hope
I
that
guess
it's
the
not
big-
a lot
the
of
big- I
that
mean,
kind of stuff,
for
though,
me-
that the principal just going, no, we have to, we'll compromise, we'll make it okay. It's like, no, we should be, what do we need for our kids first and then?
Well, I think that we need to let it go through the process this year and really evaluate it and let them.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so moving on slightly, if we're still looking at this as far as B, since they have a higher tier, then they bump the lower levels, right? So according to D, they want the large and small gym for the high school and gymnasium for K through 8. Apparently every day from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Yes.
That's
The
you,
Wolverines. It says that you want the large and small gym for the high school and a gymnasium for K through 8 from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Every day from September through June.
That's what we requested. We know the reality.
Come on up.
Come on, Brino.
We got to get it on tape.
Regarding the Wolverines, that's what we requested. We know the reality of the situation because I believe the schools come first.
So it's kind of
also.
a give us
But,
what is
but we put that on the application.
So
Because I know of our bandwidth, we have 14 teams that are travel basketball teams. So it's a little bit different dynamic from the rec leagues where the practices are higher level skill stuff going on, so.
So what do you really want?
So what I had to do last year, just so you guys have a scope of what I had to do, I took them and I did them manually between the Wolverines, Royal Kings, and MHSI. And I did them on a spreadsheet by date and made, what I could work based on what their initial application was, what the school had, and then compared the two, and then came back and said, well, I can adjust them here, I can adjust them here, I can shorten them by a half hour, extend them by an hour, move them to this location, and then worked with the organizations to make it work, to give them, I know, go ahead, Shane.
You finished, no.
It
I-
just sounds like a lot of work. I think that's what he's going to say.
They give me their wish list, like this is what they would like to have, but in reality, they know this is not what they're going to get. And I do my best to try to accommodate, their schedules that they're asking for.
Sure. So here's my concern. If we're doing it based on the tier level, in theory, doesn't MHSI just automatically bump the Wolverines from
Well,
any
that's
choices?
why I had to ask Reno for, because his nonprofit status goes through his AAU organization with his bylaws, and I didn't have in his bylaws, it didn't give me a specific date, so.
Oh, so in
I
theory,
needed
they might
know
bump
that.
a date that it
MHSI.
was established,
2012.
2012, okay.
Can I make a suggestion then? That sounds like a brilliant idea for other people to do. I would suggest that the folks at MHSI, the Wolverines, and the Royal Kings sit down with the calendar that we have that shows the dates that are blocked out and come back to you with that spreadsheet that you prepared for them last year and make it work. Because that is time they could spend, and we say, look, these are facilities, this is what we have available, make it work. Don't just one person say we're getting everything. Try to find a plan that makes this all work so that our staff time is working on school stuff. You guys find something that works out for the three of your organizations that hopefully uses the facilities like they were last year, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, the one challenge that we've come across is that sometimes the school doesn't get the schedule in, or,
The schedules are in,
working on
with
that.
exceptions of concerts
I'm
and
just
stuff.
talking about in the past.
Right, and that's what we're trying. And in fact, Shane, what you're describing is what I actually had envisioned for tonight, was that we could have all the organizations here. We can go, okay, look, here are the conflicts. Let's work them out right now since everybody's here.
But they're not.
If they bump heads, then we could say, okay, well, we're going to have to make a decision for you then.
Here's
But when you have one organization that's not willing to participate in the process, because that was nice of you to say, but that organization flat out said, we're not participating in this process. We don't feel like we have to. That's what it comes down to. So if we're not going to have the players here, then we can't go through this process. So my feeling is, for the organization that is here, we can talk to them, we can have a conversation. For the organization that's not here, you're choosing not to be here.
But they also trust in me that I'm going to make sure that I'm
but
doing the
That's,
best.
that's not your responsibility anymore,
Yeah,
Lori.
no, and that's
There's
exactly right.
problems with doing that, and that's why we had to create this committee, because there's so many conflicts and there's so many people upset. And it puts you in the middle, and that's not your job. And you're spending way too much time, and that's not your job either. You need to support the CBO. You have a huge responsibility with the finances of this district. Booking facilities and juggling all these facilities, that's not your job. That's not your job.
So here's my concern at this point. The handbook says that during this period of time, we will accept reservations, and that those reservations will be doled out based on nonprofit date, right?
Yes.
That's what it says in the handbook?
Yes.
Page 14.
Then if we're going by the handbook, then doesn't MHSI just bump the Wolverines and bump the Raiders for every single date that they suggested?
Yes.
If that's the
Yes,
case,
it
then
does.
shouldn't we look at
It does.
amending the
And
handbook?
that was, well.
That's where
and-
I'm going.
right. And that's, we needed something, so we adopted what other organizations use, that's what they used. Now, I come back to this committee and I say, is this the right policy? Is this fair and equitable, which is what we built this committee on? I don't think it is.
Okay.
So.
We're on the same page. I just want to make
We
sure
need
that
to come up, now we need to go back and, my thought was if we could work it out collectively as a group, but when you have an organization that doesn't want to play, that's fine. Now we have to go back to the drawing table and we have to come up with new policies to make this a fair and equitable process.
I liken this to the conversation we had between soccer and flag football about, one organization just co-opting all the fields by reserving them all, whether they needed to use them or not. I get that they can pay for them. I get that they may even use them. But at some point, because we are the only game in town, there's got to be some amount of equity. And I agree that a hard, fast, you were here first, you get everything rule doesn't really provide for, because it's a different thing. I mean, we're talking about a rec league versus a comp league or AAU league. And do we not want to provide our students both opportunities? And while they're not our students, there are some of them, most of them probably are, at least our students, we want to provide them with both opportunities, the rec and the comp. And most of the other organizations have worked it out. I was at the flag or the tackle football practice the other night at Altamont. They kept half the field to allow the soccer players to come and use the other half of the field. And that's the kind of thing we were hoping to see with this kind of stuff. And that we don't, I think we should absolutely amend the handbook to indicate that when one organization wants to monopolize all of the fields, that it's at this body's discretion to be able to say, no, there's got to be some amount of working together, otherwise we'll set the schedule as we see fit. It's our stuff, it's our
I
facilities.
think we need to go beyond that. I think we actually have to have a policy that says you can't monopolize all the fields.
I agree.
Or facilities. I think that there has to be a limit. I don't know what that limit is. I think that's what the discussion should be around, but, that's not fair to other organizations, and.
I concur.
Can I add something regarding the applications and the dates that were put down? The challenge in the past was we didn't put enough dates down.
Yeah.
So, and then when we don't put the dates down, it's used. So that's why I think all the basketball organizations put all those dates down, so we can see what's available, and at least the date and the time is down for what's for their calendar. But as Lori said, the reality of what the schools need, to me, is priority over what an outside organization should have. The challenge is there's a lot of basketball in Mountain House, which is a great thing.
Right, multiple organizations.
Yeah,
Right.
indoor sport. We got the Royal Kings, we have the Wolverines, we got MHSI, and we've always been cooperative across our organizations. I heard the word people are upset. That's the first I've heard of that.
We wouldn't have this committee if people weren't upset.
Well, I'm saying from my point of view,
Yeah.
from the Wolverines and MHYB last year, there was more coaches who were upset at me. We didn't have enough gym time, and I would take that brunt of it and say, well, you have to realize we have school activities, we have other things going on, because everybody wants more gym time. There's never enough gym time.
That
for
coupled with the
anybody.
reality that the service that we're providing is a
Yeah.
city function, that the
Right.
CSD should be handling, that they just can't because they don't have the facilities.
Right.
And they don't have a working relationship with the developer to put the pressure on them to make them build the
We
facilities.
don't even have a church, and that's one of the places when I was growing up, a lot of these things were done. You do a lot of these rec organizations at the churches because they'd have a basketball
Yeah,
arena,
one of
and
our
some of them.
gym locations at a church in Tracy, so.
So, we don't have any city facilities or private facilities that you can use at all, so.
But I just want to echo the thought that the school function should come first.
Sure. And we
The
have that built
challenge
in.
has been,
Right.
we haven't gotten that schedule right away in the past. And then we've had last-minute cancellations of our gym time because of the school function needing it last minute, so.
And we're really trying to nail that down. We've, in the last few meetings, we've been talking with the superintendent, and we're trying to see if we can get the administrators to give us their schedule before the end of the school year, so we can get this process started in, June.
Right.
May, June.
Right,
So then we can start reserving, ahead of time. So that's where we're at. We recognize that. It's just the word that we're getting back is that it's difficult for them to plan it out that far in advance, but we're
It's not easy.
trying.
It's not easy.
Let me try and propose then, since the one organization isn't here, and you were involved with them last year and have been a coach or at least assisted with their coaching and their calendaring. How many nights a week do they typically practice?
5 nights. typically.
All 32 teams practice 5 nights on a
Well,
rec league?
in the beginning, it wasn't that many teams, so they're projecting 32 teams, I believe. They're
Okay.
projecting. I don't
But
think
how,
they have
so
exactly
for each
32
team, how many
teams.
nights do they practice? 2?
Each team twice a week, depending on the age level. It might be 2 hours a week, which would be one
week.
1 hour practice a day.
1 hour practice. We're reserving 2-hour windows, so that's 2 practices.
I mean, without MHSI here, is there really any way for us to resolve what B, D, and G?
I'm going to see if I can, because I think the solution is to say, look, if you're an organization, you're going to practice 2 nights a week. Those are the 2 nights you get the facilities, and you get to double up. I mean, you can't have all 5 facilities or 4 facilities, all 5 nights of the week for all of the available hours. It's just not reasonable to the other organizations. And so what I'm trying to do is do what Lori did in my head here, which is if they're doing 2 practices a day and they're doubling up, that's 4 teams. If we can do that twice a week, we need to get 8 facilities for 8 hours, and that's 2 schools. So
I know
32,
for,
that's
for
4.
example, if they had a gym like Altamont, which has 2 courts going this way, right? Then they could put 4 teams practicing at the same time.
Yeah, on the smaller, for
Right.
the younger ages.
Right,
But
for the
that's why
younger
I'm saying it
ages.
would be great to have the 3 organizations sit down and say, okay, we're going to practice the really younger kids on Monday so we can get all 4 of them in, and that's it. Because they're also probably not doing 2 nights a week. I mean, you're not usually
Yeah, the
putting 5th
attention
and
span for
6th
the
grade,
younger
5th
kids
and 5 and 6-year-olds in practices.
They typically want those practices on Friday, so the kids will remember.
You know, we could always
practice
reverse
for
engineer this
Sunday
and
or
say,
Saturday
what do
game.
they need for practices?
Right, I mean, what do you realistically need for practices? You've requested like
Royal
six
Kings too, right?
months or
Royal
9.
Kings too, right?
Wolverines
You've
or-
requested 9 months straight, effectively.
Are you,
And I understand why Wolverines. I understand why you requested that. It makes sense because of the blocks and all that. What you have 12 teams, I want to say you said earlier.
we're up to 14 now.
14. I'm sorry. So how many days of practice do you actually want? Like,
We,
if we
in
could
our
give you
pro-
every single day. Would you use every single day, or I mean, is there a point at which you don't really need them all?
We would, but we,
fair enough.
Travel teams would both use every single day.
the more practice time, the better. But we understand the restrictions. So in one of our packages, we have 3-hour practices a week. So that's 2 1.5-hour sets, and across 14 teams. Ideally, each coach wants their own gym, but I forced them to share the gym because I've always emphasized with them, hey, we're a community. There's other things going on besides just us.
All right, well,
I don't think there's any way to.
based on the conversation, I think what we need to do is have staff go back and divide it out the best that you can, and that's it. And if they want to trade amongst themselves and let you know, do that. So that's what I recommend, is to have Lori go back and just say, hey, divide out the best you can, make it as fair as we can, and if there's a conflict,
I'm fairly
the
certain
tie
MHSI
goes
would
to
not
the
want my
highest
alternative.
standing organization.
My-
What's the
My alternative is.
it's gonna be
You
MHSI in
guys work
that
out what the
case.
2 of you need, MHSI gets what's left.
I had a question for the Royal Kings.
I'm just saying, the whole point to having this meeting
that's
is
why I
to
said we
provide
should
for that
adjust
kind
the
of stuff. And I
guidelines.
know what the handbook says, but that's, Matt's alternative makes me unhappy because it's staff time, but I'm certain MHSI would like my alternative.
Well, and then
less.
my next order of business is that, I think we're good, Reno, thank you.
Actually, I had a question for the Royal Kings. If the Royal Kings representatives here.
Yeah.
Start and end at different times, so there's times when they'll
Good
be.
evening, everyone. My name is Harry Dillon from Royal Kings.
Okay. My only question is, everyone else in the basketball groups, they've requested the gymnasiums for K through 8s and the high school. You just want the high school. You do not want K through 8s.
See, that was the same situation. We prefer modern or high school gyms, a big one, a small one. In case we are bumped, give us something, Altamont or Cuesta.
Okay. So you'll take a K-8 school.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
So, and we prefer the days like Wednesday and Thursday from 7 to 9.
I think at 9 p.m. you incur additional charges, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
you're
knows.
aware of
You're
that?
aware of that?
For that 1 hour, you'll incur custodial costs?
Yes,
Okay,
that's it.
okay,
Yeah, that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, Corey. Do you have what you need, Lori?
I do.
So this should be easy, one shot, lay it all out,
Easy.
and
And have An hour of undevoted time, or just devoted time, I can probably knock it out for him.
Got his exceptional spreadsheet skills in 1 hour.
I've got amazing
agree.
spreadsheet skills.
And then now I'm going to have to task the committee, we're going to have to, at our next meeting, an order of
Revise this
business
section.
is going to come back and
we need some sort of-
revisit this and come up with a process. And hopefully by then, we will have been able to talk to the software company and see what ideas they have to help us along through this process. But coming in and monopolizing organizations, that was why we got away from the first come, first serve, was because we didn't want an organization to come in and monopolize everything. Well, now we've just,
And this was
Create
what
a preference-
the
a priority
volleyball
list of
coach
that.
said
That's the
and
same thing,
Andy
yeah.
said their concerns with the alternative process was, we're like, no, that's why we'll have this. We'll have everyone get together. And if one organization doesn't want to participate, then we're going to have to figure out a way to either force participation or leave it up to us to decide how to handle it.
Right, but that needs to be in the handbook.
Yes, it does.
so board agenda's being prepared. This needs to be,
Look at Rita.
the board needs to know this action that we've taken, that we've superseded the rule listed in the handbook. We are divvying up equally amongst the 3 organizations, dates and times for use. And the committee will come back and revisit the policy in the handbook to make a recommendation to the full board to make it fair and equitable.
I have one more question for the Royal Kings. How many teams do you have? We have 8 teams. 8. So it's 8 teams, 14 teams, 32 teams. So when we do the split, you're saying equally, would you want the equal amount of time for the 32 team as for the 14 team as for the 8 team? Or should it be split based upon the amount of persons that are part of the group? Or, you know,
That's a good question. I'm going to have to look at that because I think it would be depending on the size and the ages of the children.
like total enrollment inside of the group. If they could provide that.
Yes, they
should
can.
Okay. Thank you.
What information do you need?
I'll get it from the organizations. I need the ages of the kids,
Okay.
basically, so I can, for the size, so that I know what
Get
size
that
basketball courts they're going to need.
Off as soon as you can? You already have, okay, perfect.
And then finally in this on section 8 or H, one of these reservations is for November of 2016. I don't even think that's available to be reserved. So,
Correct. But that's not up
but we
for-
can't do it, right?
Yeah, we're not doing that till next year.
Oh.
And we're going to tell them, no, they can't have their election in Mountain House.
Hey, we're gonna be on the ballot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, if nobody,
Both of us.
If nobody runs, that's a good point, yeah. Never mind, I didn't mean that at all.
Okay, yeah, that one's gonna have to come back at our next process.
I mean, I'm okay with
The June, that's
approving the June
beyond the
one, though, right?
normal, that one, yeah,
Yeah.
so we can approve that. There's,
the June one.
yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, wow, and we're done. Oh, wait, no, we
Nope.
still have
now we gotta get to
several other
2B.
organizations
No,
to-
you still have another 2A for the junior Mustangs requesting track usage starting in March.
Oh, this one just came in tonight.
Ending in May. I just got this today, Lavinia, so I haven't had a chance to ask the athletic director if this is going to interfere with any of the
It's a separate.
track and
It
field.
just came out tonight. That's this one with all the dates on it,
But it
correct?
says MHSI basketball.
No, that's not it.
Well, it's all under the same umbrella.
Right, but this is the one I'm looking at. I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one. Because I know MHSI has.
No,
track.
it says Mountain House. Oh, well, is it written at the top? I don't know
Yes.
what you have. Yes,
That's the
This-
one, Shane. Yeah.
that's MHSI.
All right,
Track and field use? Okay.
It's
So-
junior Mustangs.
Okay, so last year on this, they wanted the time too, and Lavinia, I believe, said the time wasn't available, right? Is it not going to be the same case?
No, they actually got some track usage last
but I mean,
year
she-
after we worked with the
Right,
director.
I recall the meeting, or at least earlier this year, where she had to kind of work it out, where she pushed one of her practices like earlier or later. They're requesting Monday, Wednesday, Friday for several months. Are those going to work for the high school?
March and April.
Have you seen these dates at all?
No, I just got it today,
Okay.
What times are they talking about?
It's March and April,
6 to 7 p.m.
April,
and then 6:30 to 7:30.
No, 6 to 7.
No. At like number 6, it goes to 6:30 to 7:30.
When the light changes. Come March when it gets lighter. Or
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying it changes. You're the scientist.
I am.
I think it's going to be like last year where there's going to be some dates that we can work out. But with soccer, that's still going to be in the spring for girls. We have 2 teams. So their practices usually go till 5:36. Game nights go longer. And then we're also hosting and having a full-blown track program. So it's going to be hit or miss. They're not going to get it on a regular basis.
We didn't have a full track program last year, did we?
We did, but we didn't host meets. There was a couple of little concerns there, but the program is going to be bigger than it was last year. And we'll be able to, I think we're hosting at least 3, if not more.
So we can't approve these right now because you don't have your dates yet for March, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And we don't do outside facilities until,
December.
yeah, just,
No,
It's outside
we consider
facility.
that.
oh, you
Oh,
guys
well,
consider it
we're-
inside?
Trying to remember what we considered it. You said,
We considered this for the junior Mustangs football as well. I mean, if we've considered it before, then it's not unreasonable to request us to consider it now, I think. But
Right.
I don't think we can, so it's not
Well, yeah,
terribly
'cause
relevant.
we're gonna do all the outside, I mean, they want the field, right?
They want
They
the
want the
track.
stadium.
Right,
They want the
stadium,
track.
the track, right.
And since we can't separate the track from the football field,
that's a whole new discussion.
Glad there's no bitterness there.
I have no bitterness. I'm just explaining a point. That's all.
I'm with Shane. We cannot separate them. Yeah, sorry.
Can I separate them?
Separate.
When do you think you'll know your schedule?
Like March,
No, track probably November.
February.
I will try and get those done within the next couple of months, but the only concern is that, like with basketball, and Reno can tell you now, our schedule's done. That's not the schedule that we're going to actually end up playing throughout the end of the season. There's going to be changes. So I can get it as solid as possible within the next couple of months.
Because they're only wanting Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, that shouldn't run into, aren't the competitions usually on a,
Why don't we just table this?
Yeah.
I mean, the first event's not till March, let's just table and bring it back. We can bring it back and discuss it, and we'll ask Lavinia to come when she has her schedule.
but if it's not till November,
Even so, and like, I think it's plenty of notice. Shoot, these organizations are here today, they're wondering about if they're gonna get it next month, so. 2B,
I'm not on. My bad.
let's talk 2B. We have 2 of them.
Okay. I think it's easier to approve J first, right? 'Cause it's just a Sunday, and the other one is completely and totally nebulous.
yeah, Jay's Piece of Cake, it's a Sunday in the multipurpose room at Bethany, and as long as it's not currently being used.
Hold on a second.
No, they're every Sunday. Yeah, they are currently there right now. They were the ones that were pre-approved in July
but it's
to
every
do
Sunday.
for August and September, and then they're going through the normal application for the rest of the year. They're their Sunday church service.
And they're paying for custodian to be on site?
Yes, correct.
And the custodian staying on site for the whole thing?
Yes,
How many hours?
it's 2, 4 to 6.
Yes.
Have any problem scheduling custodians for that?
I may run into some.
Okay, so,
This isn't the only one, though. We have another church
At Cuesta.
at Cuesta, so.
so for this one, just, I guess, just pending availability of custodian, no problem.
All right.
And then the other one is
Significantly more interesting.
flexible, complete date and time attached, flexible time locations. First choice is Thursday, second is Wednesday, third, any day of the week.
Yeah, Mountain House Muslim Association. They're an adult men's group it's a church organization. They get together for just functions amongst themselves. I had them at Cuesta for part of the year last year, and then Wickland the remainder of the year on Fridays. They would prefer Thursday. They're very flexible. If they can't get Thursdays, they're happy to take Wednesdays or any other day available to them.
So if I'm correct, given our discussion during the Tier 2A period, there are literally no days available to them.
If I book all of the basketball organizations, but
they are.
they're only requesting 1 day a week. Every week, the same day every week.
Okay, well,
During that time, the sites are using the facilities.
They want, no, different, not for, they're flexible.
They are flexible with the time. Last year they were,
sorry.
last year because of,
Sorry.
last year because of basketball, everything was booked out till 8. They ended up taking 8 to 10 and paying that additional fee so that they could use the NPR on Friday nights because everything was booked out for them.
I mean, if they're okay with that, again, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. If they're
if we've got
truly
staff
that
that'll do it.
flexible, and yeah, we have custodial staff to do it,
Yeah,
that's
if they
willing
like-
to stay that extra time.
I would just like to,
Is someone here from them? Do they have a rep here?
No, Asada's not here tonight.
if we could, I would like to try to find too, though, alternative availability for them after February, which is when the predominant use of the gyms should at least slow down a little bit because the Wolverines and Royal Kings,
No,
would
they
you
don't.
still be using it
Yeah.
5 nights a week between the two of you starting February? Is that how many practices you'll need?
Royal Kings goes to May.
Okay, all right, then never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, if they're willing to do it later in the evening, sure.
I didn't know we had youth.
Thursdays 8 to 10 or whatever. Yeah, it's cool with me.
Okay, and now the tier threes. Are these in order by their,
In order, I don't know how they are with you, in order by how they should be, that are Mountain House organizations, would be Come Gain Taekwondo, the Mountain House Monkeys Preschool, Raj Reddy, and then the other two are outside for the Renegades Travel Baseball, which is it's a baseball field that they want, and then USA Gymnastics.
This is the extra sheet, right?
oh, I missed one. Okay, that's this one.
There are no school events on the 18th for the MH Monkeys event,
No, not currently.
and that's going to be at Wicklund. Let me check my calendar. If anyone reserved that, it's probably me.
And
October,
Matt,
May.
Matt,
that-
if you wanted to circle back to MHSI.
Well, let's
Lem
finish
is
up what
here.
we're in, if we could.
So, you missed the fun conversation. Sure, you can. What we talked about was the way we have everything set up now, all we did was just made it so one organization could just monopolize everything. What we were hoping was that tonight we would have representatives from each organization. We could go say, hey, listen, you got everything. We have two other organizations here that are looking for some time. Can we work this out and try and work through it? But based on the email that we got from Michaela saying that she wasn't going to be here, we weren't able to do that. So what we went ahead and did was we asked Lori to go back and just divide it up evenly amongst the three organizations because there's just not enough time. It's very difficult.
So I guess, and my apologies that nobody could be here. You know, we're all volunteers, just as you guys are.
Yeah, I get it.
And we're out there doing it. What I would consider, and I do apologize, like I said, I wasn't part of the conversation. What I would hope, though, that we would look at is the amount of kids that we serve versus the other ones. And the amount of kids, and I know we can't really do this and see who's inside our school district, who's participating, but the majority of our kids, you know, we just checked right now, last night, our registration is up to 130 kids, and they're all Mountain House residents. We still have almost a whole month to go for registration. So we're looking at possibly over 200 kids, which means more teams.
Yeah.
We're not out, sorry, I'm trying to catch my breath because I rushed here. We're not out to monopolize. You know, like we said, we're limiting, you know, we looked at our lower divisions, we said, okay, one practice for them versus two. You know, we opened it up to older kids because there is no 7th and 8th grade basketball, otherwise they'd have, you know, unless it's competitive, otherwise they'd have to go into Tracy. So we've tried to expand our program to service our kids who aren't ready for competitive basketball. So again, we're not trying to monopolize. You know, if it doesn't get to, you know, to what we've requested, of course, we're gonna call you and say, hey, we don't need this because we understand that everybody here is trying to do the same thing.
Right.
But, and again, it's nothing against any other organization, but to me, like I said, the majority of our kids are beginning and developing, which means that we get the kids that are coming straight from the schools who don't make the basketball teams, who can't make the competitive teams, and the majority, if not 90% of our kids, probably higher than 90, are Lammersville students. So again, of course, we're willing to work. You know, our facilities guy just got a job in Indiana, so we're trying to reorg us and see who's gonna pick up that slack, so that's why nobody was here.
Okay. I know it goes without saying, you know what we're facing. One, we gotta accommodate our school teams, so that's gonna limit it. And then it's those couple hours at the end of the day. And are the other organizations not made up of Mountain House kids?
Oh, yes, Reno's 80% and Harry's, I would say 80%. I don't have his roster from this year, but he'll send it to me.
But I would also say though, too, if we're gonna get to 200 kids, we shouldn't have 32 teams. How many players are you putting on each
Well,
team?
well, that's the thing. So like right now, the biggest division we have is really 1st through 4th grade. So we'll probably have 6 teams each there versus the higher grades, which right now we're able probably to field 3 to 4 teams.
Right, but with the younger kids, you could also double or quadruple up practices depending on the gym that you're in and the facilities, because you're not putting 6-year-olds on full gyms, right?
We're not putting anybody in full gym, so understand that as well.
See, and that's,
So we're doubling
that
up
should help a
already.
lot.
I mean, and that's a big complaint from some of our coaches, that how can we do better when all we're doing is playing half court when we're practicing, when games are full court? Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So we're doubling up already, trying to minimize the amount that we're taking up. You know, again, we're not trying to monopolize. All we're trying to do is provide a program that benefits our kids just as you guys are.
I know, but how can you say you're not monopolizing when you ask for every school?
Well, I think we asked for it with the understanding that we're not going to get every school, knowing that we're in competition with everybody else.
Okay, well,
So-
and that's what's hurting the process for us is everyone wants all the schools all the time, so now.
So it's not just
how do we
us
decide?
that wants
Well,
all the schools all the time. No, I mean, and that's for clarification, Matt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
No, you're
I mean,
right.
that's what I want to know is that
Pretty
is
much.
everybody.
Well, everyone else wants the high school.
You see, and like I said, the
that's
only
not-
time we
no.
want the high school is for Saturday games to accommodate.
So
So
the high school's not a possibility for anybody. So
Okay.
that's easy. So now it all goes back to all the K-8 schools. So,
Okay.
but I would go back to.
We're not allowing the high school on Saturdays?
Saturdays, yeah, but I'm talking about the other times.
Oh, okay.
oh yeah, no, that's what I said. The only
yeah.
thing we'd ask for the high school was on Saturdays for
Saturdays for
games
games.
to be efficient. So we're not having one custodian at at one of the elementary schools for 10 hours or whatever it is. You know.
I would just renew my point that at this point, rather than having staff do this, can't we have the three organizations sit down and say, this is what we need, these are the numbers, this is what we've got?
Would you guys be willing to do that?
I'm willing to do
Lori's
that.
shaking her head like she,
The only thing that I'll have more visibility into the schools than they will, to make sure that the school didn't miss something, putting something in.
Well, can the four of you sit down?
Yeah, I did it with them last
Can
year.
the four of you can you guys all sit down with Lori and try and hammer this out? That would be great. That would help so much, because it's not that, we got to figure out something, because everyone wants all, the same organization, or the same facilities at the same times, and it's just difficult.
I just want to reiterate my first point. I was surprised when you said there are people upset and complaining about gym time. It was just nature of the beast. We've been cooperative across all the organizations since the get-go, so
When
from
we
my
had to
point of view.
put one of our basketball teams practicing outside because another organization was inside, that's a problem.
Well, no, and that shouldn't happen. You know, that part we do understand.
But it did,
so-
and
Okay.
and that's why we had to.
So that's
We're
the
trying to work through all this. It's just we don't have enough facilities in this community. We know that. We know. I mean, everyone knows what the issues are. We just have to try and figure out what's the best way to work through it.
Yeah.
So if you guys can hammer this out with Lori, great.
I think we can, because I think for these two gentlemen that we would be their feeders, so they probably want us to have
well, and that's,
good quality
yeah, I mean,
gym time.
absolutely, that's,
Yeah.
we
Well,
don't
we
want
could
to
ask for
say
nothing more.
it's only rec, we don't want to say it's only comp, we have to, and that's the point is, if we're just giving you the priority as the rec team, then we're not providing our high school with the skill level they're going to get from the players who can make it to comp, and our players maybe can't drive to some of these other cities to get to it. We have to find a way to balance this out, both to benefit all of these kids that live in this community, but also, I mean, not for naught, I'm serious. I'm looking at Lavinia going, I know you want to get the AAU teams out here. You want to get the comp soccer teams out here. You want to get the travel baseball teams out here because that gives you better players on your fields. So we have to try to find a way to accommodate all of this while not having facilities and other circumstances. And if the three of you guys will work together and get it all, I'm ecstatic.
I think we can do that. I mean, if that's.
Great. Much appreciated. That's all we could ask for. I mean, we don't want to have to do it. That if you guys can work it out, please do it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Super.
I'd like to speak.
No, we're good.
No, I just want to be clear about what was communicated with me as
Sorry, who does she represent? Who do you represent?
She's with NHSI.
So are we good?
Okay, all right,
Okay.
okay. Thank you,
Okay,
Lori.
all right.
Thank
Tier
you.
three.
All right,
all
so
three of you.
back to the
Thank you
orange.
very
So
much, all three organizations.
on the orange, it seems like we'll probably just approve the top three. And then, I guess the question then is the USA Gymnastics one, right? Really?
Well, 12/18, is that a weeknight or a weekend?
It's a Friday night.
Hold on a second. Let's go back. So the Taekwondo once. I mean, let's do one by one. Let's just make sure we're good here.
Sure.
6 to 8 at the high school. Oh, in a classroom. Okay, that's easy.
Yeah, we talked, that was what we talked about when they were here last week, was if they can find one of the classrooms that they could accommodate and put their mats down on, they were happy with it. Ben was okay with it, so it all worked out.
And then a baseball field,
But at the Bethany baseball field. So,
which in theory is an outside facility, so we shouldn't be doing, right?
that's true.
Kidding, I'm just trying to cause trouble.
That's
I'm okay
true.
with that too.
The Bethany baseball field, number L, item L.
Oh.
It's
Oh,
an
yeah, that
outdoor
should be-
baseball field. We don't need
Right.
that.
That should be, that comes back in December, right? When do
They-
they want it?
They want
Want
it
it now.
now.
That's why.
Yeah, and we should approve it. It's an outdoor baseball field.
fine.
No one's using it. And baseball won't start before February 2nd. The Mountain House Little League won't start before then.
Still,
And then
Until, like,
on the top
March.
one, it's a Friday, and
There are no other conflicts that you know of? For the field? All right.
Could I, on the baseball field though, could I ask what kind of monitoring we have with that? Because if they're playing in slightly inclement weather, I worry about what the dirt's gonna look like afterward.
Since it's a grade school, we don't really get into that.
You know what, I hate to do this, but I'm all about process, and we are looking at applications for outside facilities in December, right? So I think we should approve up until then.
Yep.
And then they have to go as part of the
Agreed.
rest of the process for those
Yes,
dates
that seems fair.
following that.
Yeah. Because that was the plan.
They want to go into February, right?
correct.
Okay.
That's what it says on here.
Yeah, but that
Yes, correct.
if we're gonna look
So
in,
approve them up until December, and then in December they
Approve
can
up
apply to
until,
January and February.
yeah, and then they need to
on
come
their
back
own.
and participate in the rest, other process with
Okay.
with the,
we probably need to approve them up through like the middle of December though, right? So
Yes.
that,
Right until the cutoff of school.
because of our meetings though, I mean, if we're gonna approve them at our meeting, then if we only approve them to December, they won't have the space
What's
between the
the-
time of December and our meeting.
the idea,
I'm
right?
saying like
Refresh
through
my
December
memory
might
what
be
the
better.
application period is for the outside facilities? Do
We
you
have
remember?
two windows.
I think it's the
December
first through the 15th of
Yeah,
December.
first to the 15th.
we should approve it through the end of December,
Through, yeah, through the end of December.
Yes, I like that.
where they have it and.
Yeah, then that's, yeah. Okay, the one on the paper, oh no, we're sorry, we're not done yet. You were gonna go through, monkeys, right?
Monkeys, yeah, they want multipurpose room at Wickland,
On a Friday night,
on one date. Yeah, okay, that's
That's
easy.
right.
as long as it's available.
The other one is the
And they have to
addendum
know
we
about
got.
the custodian too.
That's
Sorry,
true.
say again, Corey?
The last one, or the other single day one is this one. It's a Saturday, November 7th for the Questa multipurpose room.
That's this one.
Yeah, that's the addendum one we have, 4 PM to 10 PM. I think that the only potential block for that is if one of the aforementioned basketball groups gets to the space, right? Then that would block them out of the
This is a tier
space.
3.
And they have their Indian festival every year.
I
I
know.
would,
I'm just saying,
I
like,
bet if I was to work with the basketball
I
organizations,
think
they
because-
would.
Yeah, I think the
not
organizations are gonna meet, so
take that
maybe
day
we
away
can just
from 'em.
kind of block this day off
I'll
or
work with the basketball organizations and let
I'm sure we
them
can
know.
accommodate a one-day event, yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to make everyone aware.
I think that's, yeah. If there's a problem, let us know. Just bring it back.
I will.
And then I'm guessing Lavinia is going to come and talk to us about gymnastics. Well, they want the high school.
Gymnasium, they want the gymnasium, just for, what is it, 1
3
weekend?
days, all day long for a tournament.
We held this event last year.
Right.
And we were not staffed to accommodate the 500 people. It was
That's not-
very, very difficult for us to maintain.
Right, we've changed the levels for that to have the
Yeah,
staffing
they're now a
levels.
they're a tier 3.
Go ahead, Jim.
It's just not a staffing issue with this group. We were ill-prepared to handle their group.
It's just too big for us, is that,
Yeah, I could use that. That's a good, safe way of putting it.
okay?
Bunch of rowdy high schoolers, I guess.
She's aware.
Demands
aware.
the demands on us were much more than we could handle. Because of, for instance, we do not allow our locker rooms to be used. So we ran into many problems on that because they still have to change clothes. And it turned the gym into a big closet, so to speak.
I could see that.
So from our
I mean,
standpoint,
if a staff's recommendation is not to approve it, I will support that.
Yeah, I agree.
As much as I'd love to see it, I would too.
That's
I mean,
easy.
if we can,
Is that both staff members?
I think that if we could support it, that'd be
For the
better.
organization.
But
Please, come on up.
Super.
oh, awesome.
I'm really confused by this, because I thought everybody was really happy it it went really well. I don't understand the thing about it being a closet. We actually provided little spaces for them to change in. And we put all the athletes on one side, we put all the parents on the other side. They do have to change, so they either use the little spaces that we gave them or we had them use the restrooms. We left the place in perfect order. You know, we cleaned up everything. I had no idea there was any issues at all.
Well, our staff doesn't agree, and
Can I know what the issues were? I'm really, I mean, Lori came and said, wow, you guys did a great job.
we're
This looks
just, it
amazing.
sounds like we are ill-prepared to support the event, which,
As far as,
well, we're a small school district. It's a new high school. We don't have full staffing anywhere yet. This is not something that the school district can support.
Possibly in the future, we would be able
because
to
we would
accommodate
need,
it.
what staff, what did we need that you
We've
didn't have?
also, based on that event, we changed our policy now that if there's for every 100 people, we have to have one custodian. For every 100 attendants, we have to have an additional custodian, because, and that was a decision made by the full board in response to this event.
I mean, just 500 people using the bathroom all day long for 3 straight days, that's, plus the gym itself and the trash, and nobody's gonna be perfect. I mean, you're gonna drop candy, you're gonna drop wrappers, things are gonna happen. And to have the staffing levels and to find the people who wanna work, you know, all 3 days over what I'm guessing is a holiday weekend, right? If you're gonna do, is that 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. on Friday?
7 p.m.
Okay.
We just set up on Friday evenings.
That's just a lot of staff and a lot of people to support a large event that we don't have. And we're just not a big enough district to be supporting these kinds of events. It's, this whole process, using all these facilities all the time, I mean, we're talking custodians, overtime every night.
Yeah, and we were willing to pay whatever it took, you know?
But at some
you don't
point,
have the
the
people
money's
to
just
do it.
not, money's not the issue. It's just, it's people. We don't have enough people.
Okay.
So, sorry. Is that all of them?
That's it.
You gotta be kidding me. That's unbelievable.
So we went through A
Two,
through
two,
D.
three, okay. Item E. So our discussion here, we covered all the other items. Item E is the Barbara Wackcott Youth Ballet permission to store belongings. That's,
Yes, let me, and I'm just gonna come up, Barbara. They have made an agreement with Ben, and Ben had approached Dr. Gill with it, that they leave their mats in the room so that our dance group can use them, so we don't have to purchase a dance floor. Otherwise, if they take their mats out and we have to put one in, we would have to spend the money to purchase a dance floor for our
so
dance
the
group.
recommendation from staff is
to approve
is
it.
to approve.
Is to approve it.
Yes. My only issue with it is, from my perspective, we've had issues at other sites where we've actually set rules. Like, for example, our school foundations don't get to store stuff on sites. We've had.
Yeah, that's not true.
Tier
That's
one,
not-
we changed
Tier
that.
ones do.
No, we store
Change
stuff.
that, but only for tier ones.
Tier one, that's why.
That's why they're
did
coming
that
for
now.
special approval.
I just, because now the next two,
Yes, it's exactly the same thing.
or the next one is exactly the same thing, so,
Well, and that's what we run into, is are we gonna start setting a precedent?
yeah. That's why I'm asking before we say yes to this one, and it's nothing personal, I'm just trying to look at the next one, and where do we draw the line at? I mean, we're storing mats for these folks, where are we gonna store them? At the high school, in the classroom?
Yeah.
Because these are dance mats
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
classroom that would be used for that, correct?
Eventually, these classrooms are vacant right now.
Well, it won't continue in the future, I'm sure, as we continue to.
So this would
house these
just, so this would be something temporary while the classroom's empty?
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, all right, okay.
Any
I'm good with it.
objection?
No.
Okay, so that's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's like,
Sorry for
I had a
the
big
delay.
impassioned speech written and everything.
You want to give your speech?
She wants her
You
3
give your
minutes.
speech if you want. No, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, item F, Taekwondo organization permission to store belongings, mats.
Mats, currently the Taekwondo group uses the same classroom that the yoga group uses at the high school. These mats are huge, and it's not like Bethany where they could back up their car and just slide them into the MPR. They actually have to lift them and then down the hallway. They're quite cumbersome. So they were just requesting permission to leave them there so they wouldn't have to keep bringing them back and forth based on the distance.
This is, they want it at the Bethany NPR?
No, this is at the high school classroom. That's
high
vacant.
The one we just approved earlier, room 106 or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
Oh, for a high school classroom.
An empty high school classroom.
Yes.
And
Right?
they
It's-
understand
It's
that
not
this
much
is-
different than what we just approved.
Exactly.
And this, they understand that
It's
this would just
temporary.
be temporary.
Correct.
While the classroom's empty, because it's a whole
Yes,
different
correct.
ball of wax
We
when,
need to apply every year.
Come next June,
right.
or no, I mean, next August when we start up with
Yes.
a full senior class.
So based on that, any objection?
No.
If Ben's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Okay, that's approved. And item G, Cam Learning Center, permission to store belongings, printer and supplies. Is it an empty classroom at the high school?
Making me feel all bad.
I'm not trying to make people feel bad. I'm just saying, you know, at some
Okay.
point, if your
No,
printer
I'm
gets
in a good mood. It's the first day of football season, so I'm in a
go,
really
yes, and
good
we're all
mood
here,
today.
we'd like to get home.
5 more minutes.
So basically, what I've asked to store is a printer, and then we have a big, really heavy, banner. I had asked the principal. We're in the resource room.
That's another thing we have
Yeah,
to talk
I didn't
about.
see that on the thing, and I'm like, should I say something?
Yes, we should.
So we're in the empty resource room that is not being used currently at the school at all.
Which
And-
site now?
We're at
Altamont.
Altamont,
Altamont, okay.
right? And they have lots of empty storage space. So I had asked, or I am asking, to store my printer so it's not carried back and forth, and then my banner that it collapses and it goes into the closet, but it's quite heavy. And then I have a little soft lock, combination lock that I put around the handles, and I understand it's at my wrist. So if it disappears, somebody really wants a
But
printer.
do we have that written somewhere?
No, we do not, because
So,
currently in our handbook,
understanding
it's only tier
And this is not
1.
you. I'm
I
talking about
understand.
a
I think-
broad spectrum.
I understand.
Actually, I think for all three, we should come up with some sort of contractual.
There's got to be a waiver.
Yeah, I'd be happy to sign a waiver.
There's got to be a waiver of liability and.
Now,
make
this
sure it's
resource room, is this one of those that you can access it from multiple classrooms?
No.
No, it's not. It's got its own access?
Is it? Does it have two?
All the resource
Actually,
rooms are.
It is, there are other classrooms. It's not a regular classrooms. They're like speech and music,
But still, you
Someone
can
could
get into
access
that
it.
classroom.
That's a concern.
They normally, from what I understand, it is not a high-traffic area. There are the teachers that cut through to visit the other teachers for whatever reason, but no students cut through.
Okay. Was there an issue with the resource room?
Yeah, they had originally booked for the classroom, and none of the teachers wanted to allow them to use it. So they put them to the resource room, and the resource room only allows 7 kids. Is that right, Jim? About
It's
the
very
size, because it's small. So they've basically taken their classroom usage in half. So I didn't know if there was some kind of
Discount?
discount.
Exactly.
or-
Yeah, thank you, Shane. You and I are on the same wavelength. The teachers don't get to decide.
That's true.
This is a district policy, and whether they like it or not, this is going to happen. If they choose not to allow it, then they can go through their chain of command, through the principal to the superintendent, and make the recommendation to the school board that we no longer rent facilities. But until that happens, our policy, our district policy that the school board approved is that we will rent out our classrooms after hours. So they need to get over it. It's not their classroom, it's a Lambertville School District classroom.
I feel bad. I don't want us to be anywhere where we're technically not wanted.
You're wanted
No, no.
because the school board approved you
I
coming into our
understand.
facilities to help our students.
See, we're
I get
elected,
that.
we're elected by this community, and we have ties to the community, and we're trying to be good neighbors with the community, and because of a situation that this community faces that most don't, we don't have facilities. Our school board has decided that we will rent out our facilities, and
Okay.
the teachers just, I understand teachers, and then they feel that it's their classroom, but it's not their classroom.
And if something were to happen, the teachers have the proper way to report that so that we could be bringing her back to say what happened, we can't allow this, and if we have, inappropriate use complaints that we can get and address, so.
Is this a situation where we should ask the site administrator?
I was going to say, I will speak with the administrator of that site.
However, let me just real quickly ask,
Is that the same as the office manager over there?
That's Ryan, it's the
Principal.
principal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
Do you like using a resource room, or do you want something bigger?
I don't mind. It's
That's not the
empty.
question.
I know, I'm just,
Trying to be nice.
So you're
I know,
using,
I'm so sorry. I'm just like, it's okay. I'm okay with it.
Is
I
it-
am okay with
Is
it.
it accommodating your needs?
Right now it is. Now, if we got bigger, 'cause we have grown a lot since we opened our doors in January. If we get bigger, then it definitely won't. But right now, today, it's fine.
What tier organization is this? 2A. Would the committee object to modifying the cost of the room since she's not getting a full classroom?
I only think that's fair, personally.
does it,
That was my understanding when it first came up, is she didn't mind that she was being placed.
I'm,
That's fine.
are there any like fire code issues with teaching kids in the resource room?
no, that's actually,
It's a classroom.
It is a classroom, okay.
it's small.
It's just small.
And we're not exceeding capacity, I mean,
No,
I guess
we're
by
not
any
exceeding
side.
capacity.
So you want to reduce the cost, you're using
It's just
one
really,
resource room?
it's cozy.
Yeah, but
It's
that's,
cozy.
She applied for a classroom.
I did.
The campus didn't accommodate her. They gave her a resource room, which we normally wouldn't rent out. I think that we should accommodate the price. If she's taking half the classroom, we should maybe charge her half the price
Okay, yeah, that seems fair.
or something.
What did we decide on the actual agenda item, the storing of the belongings?
That was my next question. Thanks, Shane.
Well, that's the next. I wanted to find out what we're talking about and where we're talking about. So if we are in fact talking about the resource room,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem if it's not currently assigned to anyone and there's an area where I really want to see the stuff secured.
It is.
That's my concern.
It is.
And we have something on file saying
A waiver
some
of
sort of
liability.
release of
Waiver.
liability.
Yeah. Between that, a waiver of liability, and if the site administrator says they're okay with the stuff there, I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either.
Great.
Corey?
Yeah, I agree. If the site administrator is okay with it, then
But I would like us to
But
have a
that,
discussion.
that
about
does
that.
bring up the question, if we do get her a classroom, we still have the same question.
Well, we're not talking about a classroom though.
well, I mean, she could still store in the resource room, right?
If it were a classroom, that would be a different discussion. And I probably
That would be
think
a
it
no.
probably a different decision.
Yeah.
So
And
it would
if
actually
I, yeah.
site
benefit you
administrator
to
would want
use
that
the
Yeah,
the resource
if I
room
could
for now.
still use, if I got a classroom and if I could still keep at least the printer in the resource room, that would be great. But let's cross that bridge when we get to it. We're not there.
Okay.
She's happy with what she's got.
Yes,
the
I'm
request-
happy, I'm happy, I'm
Doesn't wanna rock
happy.
any boats.
Request is approved, and on our next agenda, can we bring back?
Her fee agreement.
I think it's approved pending site
Waiver.
administrator,
Yeah,
right?
it's pending site approval, of
That's
course.
fine.
And bring back a recommendation on a modified cost
Great.
to the committee.
And by the way, Matthew, I love your shirt. I'll be at the game Monday night.
Go Niners.
So will you
So will he.
be there?
I'll be there. I'll be there. Working. I'll be there.
If you start a fight, he'll come see you.
That's exactly right. He will have you on camera.
That's it for action. Any other public comment?
Sure, why not?
Reno.
Welcome back.
Thanks for looking at all this. I just wanted to focus on the AAU side because that's where my bread and butter is. Is that at the high school level, I would say majority of the kids within basketball are AAU kids who are on the competitive teams, and those in competitive sports understand that. But that's where I want to just have you focus on the kids who graduate to AAU from any rec league. They usually stick with it, and then they usually represent the high school of Mountain House. Speaking on the Wolverines, we're proud to represent Mountain House Wolverines in the travel ball circuit. So we always represent the town. And then a lot of the kids at the current high school and Mountain House High, on the girls' side, all of them are AAU kids. Majority Wolverine kids with some other organizations. So in terms of gym time, it's imperative, in my opinion, that they get their look and feel of getting gym time at the school. Because we want to give the money to the district instead of going outside of Mountain House.
That was the point I made earlier, which is
Yeah.
we can't just focus on the rec league and reaching out to as many kids as possible, because as a person with a daughter who's in a competitive league for soccer, that's her whole goal. She's been in this to be able to be better for when she gets to high school and hopefully beyond. And you, as much as you want to feed as many kids and cover as many issues as you can't just do that at the sake of all the other opportunities. And you do want to encourage, I want to encourage as many Mountain House kids as can play for you guys. I've seen what the Bethany and Cuesta basketball teams end up like, because some of those girls are on your AAU teams, and they're very impressive for 7th and 8th graders, and that's what you want to see. But you also can't cut off the other arm and not give the rec either. There's got to be some opportunity, and I'm hopeful that the three of you guys getting together can find some option.
I didn't want to minimize what the rec league is. It's important in any community. And I started that league, so, but I just wanted to put that out
No,
there.
and I'll say on behalf of the committee and on behalf of the school board is we fully support youth sports. And, and my personal thank you to you, because I know how much time and energy you put into working with the kids, and it's much appreciated. Much respect.
Thanks.
But at the same time, we're dealt this daunting task of trying to make this all work. And there's only so many different criteria that we can look at to try and determine who gets what facility and when they get it and how long and what they're going to be charged. And so we've been working on this for over a year now. And I mean, we're always looking for recommendations to make it better.
Yeah,
So
I know.
I appreciate your position.
I know resources are limited. That's why we've always been cooperative across the
Yeah,
organization.
we're trying to make it all work. We're trying to make everybody happy and support all the organizations throughout the community.
And then one last question was, are we approved for gym time as long as we work it out within the organizations? Is that,
All the organizations need to come
Goes
together.
through the recommendation.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
and if there's conflicts, then we're gonna have to revisit again.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments by the board, by the committee? No? We need to come up with a future meeting.
I'm open every Tuesday in October.
I like to.
I am open every Tuesday in October.
Why don't we start with you, Matt?
I've got one,
I like it. Let's do that one.
Let's do that one.
Tuesday the 20th.
Okay, I was gonna say, if you
October
say October 4th, I'm in deep trouble.
20th, 20.
That's a Sunday. I'm not-
2-0. 6:30 PM.
Let's see, what do we have that day?
Will you send out a appointment reminder
Absolutely
for all of us,
nothing.
please? Okay.
Rita sent it out.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.
She's
Very nice
sending
to
out
meet
to
you.
the distribution group and Anne
Welcome,
Lori.
welcome to the fun of the committee.
Yeah.
And thank you all for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you all. Thank
Meeting
you,
is
Lavinia, for
adjourned
coming.
at 7:57.
And let's hope it's Friday is not quite so windy.